My name's Paul. I've been working as a plumber in the commercial industry sector for the past 25 years. In particular, focused on hot water, sustainability and retrofit. Andrew said, come along today. He said, first of all, come along, come and join at this meeting. Oh, by the way, you're having a speech as well. So I'm way out of my depth here, so bear with me. Thanks for everyone coming here today. Look, from my experience, I have a small crew. I've 5 plumbers working for me and 2 office staff. I've been in this industry I fell into the hot water sector of it all. As a general plumber, I've visited and seen pretty much everything. I can't say everything though, but majority of issues that arise in the commercial sector. I've been associated in many retrofit installations through many buildings in the city, including the old Holiday Inn at the Rocks. We did a retrofit there. We've done the old Airport Hilton. We did another retrofit. Various projects. We're mainly focused now on heat pump retrofitting. There's a lot of moving forward for you guys, sustainability, to cut costs and cut your budgets and delivering your sector so you're saving money at the end of the day. There's a lot. I'll just go through a few things anyway here. Let's be honest, hotels are heavy consumers of hot water between showers, laundries and kitchens and cleaning operations. You're running hot water systems around the clock, but there's the problem. Water heating is one of the biggest energy consumers in your sector. A lot of systems today are aged and inefficient and poorly maintained. And in many cases, they're not more energy efficient and costing more than necessary. Sustainability isn't just a buzzword anymore. Guests are increasingly making choices based on both hotel environmental commitment and efficiency. Isn't just good for the planet, but it's good for everybody, if you know what I mean. Over the years, mainly the 3 culprits that bleed energy and money is oversized systems, poor installation and pipework layouts, outdated equipment. And I know that you guys need to work with what you have and constraints to your shareholders and whatnot to be able to invest in new systems is, not an easy thing to get across the line, I imagine. But ultimately, you can look at putting these more energy efficient systems in, and by looking at a payback, you're actually going to be saving money by taking that plunge. Again, it's just getting it over the line, I take it. For myself, we're also based on commercial maintenance and involved with hot water is also tempering. If you guys are keeping that up to speed and your maintenance commitments on those things as well. It's often an overlooked thing. It only arises when there's an issue, like most things. But just again, looking at back-end installations as far as room with Guardian or your electronic control devices or individual areas that you're looking at to retrofit if required, because a lot of buildings don't have hot water control. It's law. You must do it, but it gets passed a lot. It doesn't get captured. I spent the last 20 odd years inside boiler rooms and plant rooms, and one thing I've learned that in every small plant, in every small improvement adds up. Sustainability doesn't always require sweeping changes. Sometimes it isn't just about paying attention to what you have already and doing it better. Thank you for your time. Happy to answer any questions and share specific examples of what we've worked on in other commercial properties and serviced to make your system smarter, cleaner and more efficient, one upgrade at a time. As you can tell, it's not my forte speaking, but I'm pretty adept in hot water. So if you've got any questions or on that sort of thing, we're quite up to speed with this new heat pump technology. And my main role is retrofitting these systems into your space constraints and having a seamless changeover basically, so you don't even know you've changed over to the new system. So thanks for that very much. Any questions?
With all the upgrades, whether you're doing hospitals or large commercial site for boilers and heat pumps. Have you got any data in terms of energy efficiency, what you achieve, or is it through a consultant that you go with?
Yeah, I mean, we can do a payback. We can look at your hot water loads and consumption and whatnot, and we can estimate on what you're paying now for your gas supply and electricity rates and tariffs and whatnot, that we can give you a payback on a new system. So generally, we can get things under 5-year payback time.
If heat pumps are the way to go, what are the limitations on commercial sites that has restrictions with that?
Power supply into the building, depending on what the size and the commitment of what you're doing on that, and also, ideally, heat pumps need to be outside or well ventilated, because they hate sitting in their own environment. So that's the...
Have you had an opportunity to do one indoors where you had...
Yeah, no, we've done many installations indoors by just retrofitting air grills and whatnot. They just need to exhaust that cool air. That's, yeah, they don't want to be sitting in that. They just become inefficient. And
what about thermostatic mixing valves and cooling valves as well?
Look, that's all part of your existing infrastructure that you need to deal. Again, it's in this sector, there's a lot of hotels out there that just don't have, that are still left behind, more or less, and they're not. But yeah, to retrofit, if you're doing any upgrades to your hot water as such, what I deal in, it's by law that we have to regulate and make sure that you put in the tempering, put in that warm water control. But yeah, it adds a significant amount of money to the end of the contract that you need to, that has to go through. So,
what is the legal requirement for testing of tempering valves or thermostatic mixing valves?
Tempering valves are basically a set and forget, but they do need to be replaced after 5 years, I believe. Thermostatic mixing valves you do need to service every 12 months.
By a licensed plumber?
By a plumber licensed to do thermostatic mixing valves, yeah. It's a separate TAFE course that you need to complete.
Okay, another question on the heat pumps. Have you extended the heat pumps into air conditioning in any way? Air conditioning heating, 4-pipe installations?
As in using the cool air as such, or having a heating and cooling?
Heating water to circulate for air conditioning?
Look, the technology's there. It's, me, myself, no, not really. At the moment, we're looking at a project for a CPI system, clean in place system, which generally will generate the heat with, or for instance, it's a milk delivery company. They need to clean their trucks after every process. They bring the truck back in, they sterilise the inside of the truck. The truck's already got all the systems in place already. At the present, they're either using natural gas or LPG to generate that heat source. But we're looking at a system now that we're going to do it with heat pump. But it's just a matter of getting that cooler air to come, cooler water to return back onto the system to keep it efficient when they need it most. So something a little bit different, yeah. But look, is heat pump, again, I'm only focusing on what I do, but are we going down this road that is gas going to come back again in 5 years? It's crazy how it's such an instant heat that now we're looking at renewables and whatnot, and where the government and all that's going with all that. Is it going to turn on its head? Because it's changed so quickly to get off gas now, and there's things in place where it'll be put on you guys that you need to show cause that you are getting your systems off gas, and then looking at the alternatives that you can use for your heating requirements. So it's, where we're going to go with that's another thing. Yeah.
Hey Andrew, I've used Eymael for the last
25 years.
25 years, and one of the first things I do on your site is, because one of the hidden areas, or because it's unseen, is to inspect your grease trap lines as well. So when you're in a building where you've got outlets, restaurants and kitchens, and you've got a grease trap, what I do find is a lot of the grease trap lines leading to your grease tank has not been cleaned out or checked every so often. A lot of times that I find are 50 to 75% blockage. It doesn't take much for a quick inspection in the inspection opening to see what the condition is.
In saying that though, Andrew, like the majority of the time is that these things only occur when it blocks up and there's an issue that floods, there's a car park flooding, or there's a room that gets flooded. And then, us as the plumbers, the contractors, we'll come in and say, okay, we'll jet the line, we'll clean it out, but then again, it's a maintenance thing that needs to be addressed every 12, 18 months, that sort of thing. So it's...
But while you're touching on grease traps, another interesting thing is a lot of the older buildings have steel tanks underground, and you neglect to look at it. And over time, if you don't get the tank layer thickness checked, until it fails, you have no idea.
The only time usually you notice it is when it's leaking.
Yeah.
And then again, there's all solutions to be had to repair these things. But yeah, it's maintenance is one of those great words, isn't it? Really, that is it really? It's an issue that gets addressed when there's an issue. Like that's like most things. So,
especially for a new site or when you're in charge of a new site, it's always good to engage your incumbent plumber just to go in and check all your valves, your water tanks, what's leaking, what the condition is. Just a comprehensive report. Because Paul's helped me out in saving a lot of water for urinals that wasn't so efficient. You know, urinals used to dump water every minute, or as soon as it sends somebody, it dumps for a minute. So what we did was we put timers in there, so and we reduced a lot of water wastage. Things like that can save us a lot of water. I did a lot of case studies as well. There, you can check it.
yeah. So it's I'm not up here selling my wares or anything. It's that you guys, you got your own little world every day. Like you've got the buildings that you maintain and service and whatnot. Just the importance of doing that routine maintenance checking and that sort of thing. It's again to set it into your routine, and to complete it is another question too. But then again, it's just the relationship you have with your HVAC and your general plumbing contractors and electricians and the like, and your air conditioning guys. Yeah, any other questions? Like, how are you?
What projects are you working on at the moment?
We're just at the moment we do maintenance and retrofitting plants for Central Coast Health. So at the moment we're just about to start a project at Wyong Hospital. We just finished a project at Gosford Hospital. So yeah, just hot water. Yeah, so we put some condensing boilers in at Gosford, just to replace one of the plants up there, and replaced a lot of their thermostatic mixing valves throughout the wards and whatnot. And just about to embark on a new plant at Wyong. So we're just waiting on delivery of that. It's just a gas, regular tank pack system. And then we've got some various projects there's a property down in Wollongong, Warrigal. It's a over 55s retirement area, which we've done 3 plants already. We're just embarking on the 4th and final plant there to get them completely off natural gas, going to heat pump there. Again, just retrofitting those systems, building them in place in the plant room while the existing systems are still running, and then changing over just with a flick of a ball valve, so there's no downtime on their supply. And we've got another project up at Tamworth as well, and just a retirement centre, similar size, that sort of thing. Got a bit in front of us at the moment, but wish it could all just be a gradual, everyday sort of thing, but it's either snowing or it's either flat out or it's, you're scratching around. So there's always things to be done.
Another topic as well was RPZ.
Yeah, again, RPZs, you've got your isolation control actually at your main meter, which generally is governed by Sydney Water by sending you guys messages to say, get your valve serviced. But then you've got your RPZs, which are localised to different hazards within your property as well, which might be your garbage room or hot water, mechanical hot water system with the make-up water and whatnot. These things often are overlooked. Like but again, if they're not working, it's not it doesn't affect you because it still works as such. But the importance of having that relationship with your contractor to point these things out to you. Because again, when they fail, then everyone's up and raw to get it sorted straight away. Yes.
Can you talk about the backflow prevention device?
Backflow? It's in regards to...
Most of us are from hotel background, so this is a requirement that we need to do that. So
it's a device that obviously, prevents... Say you have there could be a situation where you have a very basic situation I'll take this. So you have a bath full of water, and so you're bathing your child in that, and your child craps in the bath. So you've got that dirty water sitting in the bath, and you've got a hose, or you've got like a flexible hose, which you often see that people put on their bath spouts, and it'll be sitting in the water. And for any reason, say the main gets broken outside, or there's some sort of issue that you can get a siphoning effect, as such, siphoning fuel out of a car or something like that, a backflow prevention will break that siphon. It basically creates an air brake on that. So they're the importance of it. It's basically disconnecting your property from the Sydney water main, should there be an issue upstream of that, whatever. And that is essentially a basic backflow prevention device description.
So how often do you need to do the testing? How do you know the accuracy of the
Sydney Water have records of every property that have these devices in place, and they will send you a notice to say you need to get this serviced, and then your contractor, backflow prevention licence contractor, will come along and service that valve and go through all his tests to make sure it complies and it passes its necessary tests, and then he'll send the notice into Sydney Water, and then it'll get ticked off until next year.
There are some primary and secondary RPCs of backflow prevention.
Yeah.
The primary ones are usually close to your water meter.
They'd be on your inlet water supply. And then you've got your secondary devices are your garbage rooms, make up water to your hot water systems, things that have constant, you tap water feed going into them. So if there is an issue, they're not going to pull that contaminated water back into your water supply, but then it would be contained within your hotel as such. So they're still important, but Sydney Water are only concerned with the one that's actually on your water main supply coming off their asset. And that's why they send you the notices.
We've had renovations with one of our sites, and the builder had cross-fed the hot and cold water system to the line in one of our kitchens. All
that's right.
to investigate, and we found that all we needed was just, because the hot water pressure was higher than the cold water, and hot water was going to the cold water system, and all we did was just install a non-returning valve and sorted it out.
Yeah, even through if you have tempering valves or thermostatic mixing valves on your property, you're going to get cross-connection if they're not serviced. Because in each valve you've got check valves which are internally in these items, and if they're not regularly maintained, these systems, you cross your hot and cold water through, constantly inefficiency on your hot water again, because you've got cold water entering your hot water supply. So
The tempering valves have got inbuilt...
they have as well. But again, tempering valves are installed in sort of low risk areas, like anything healthcare or childcare or hairdressers and the like, has to be thermostatic mixing valve, because it does get looked at every 12 months. That's the reasoning for that. But domestic households, places that generally wouldn't have any occupancy with people, elderly people or young children, then you can use tempering valves. So, cheaper option. So.
Is there much difference or energy efficiency, like comparison between hot water tanks, combination of gas electric, and then you've got the instantaneous, then you've got heat pumps?
The consensus at the moment is that, we all have to get off gas. That's the underlying. Gas is the dirty word in the room at the moment as such. So as far as energy efficiency, the best system now, as far as, it would be a heat pump with your PLs, your electrical solar panels on your building. So you essentially will be generating free energy. But again, it's the infrastructure to put in place for that and to get that across the line. But ultimately that is your most green system, more so than solar even. So solar going through hot water as such. So, yes. No, that's it. Nothing else?
I think there are a lot of the members, our corporate members with plumbing background. So if you have anything to clarify, or you can add, please.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yep.
In your current experience, when you retrofit from gas boilers to heat pumps.
Yep.
You said that one of the main challenges is finding the space.
Yep.
Is there any other challenges that we should be aware of?
Again, the challenge. Look, On my perspective, obviously, is keeping the changeover simplistic as possible, but also you need to be able to build a plant somewhere. Otherwise, you're going to have that downtime on that changeover because things need to go into place to install. Often there is space there. The challenges with that is that generally you can install the storage tanks where the existing boiler set was. You can take one out, pinch one here and put one in here and get it over the line that way. The main challenge for heat pump is to have it, so it can exhaust that air. That is the main thing. And so if you're working with an indoor environment, then you need to provide that ventilation that works prior. Even with your retrofitting gas plant, changing from your retrofit, your RAPAC system, conventional RAPAC system, then going to instantaneous, depending on your manufacturer, individual fluing or common flue, whatever. You need to put all these things in place prior to your changeover.
Got involved with a mechanical hot water system upgrade as well. It's in our basement level. And with new boilers in the higher capacity, and then we had to stick with the new standards. We have to upgrade. We have to have flue connected flue everything. So the existing flue wasn't sufficient enough for the new hot water system. So that enclosed plant room would generate more CO2. So we had to go with the new standards and increase the volume. So there's quite a bit of background there. So it's not just from an upgrade, it's the fact that the upgrade has to the standards.
And on the other control systems, obviously you have a change in controls from, over the gas boiler to...
Generally, the controls are built into the systems. Obviously, you've got changes in your fitting your BMS systems that you retrofit back in, which is on the back end of our stuff. We're not so much involved on that side of thing. Where we come into place is actually fitting something in that others say they can't fit or can't happen or whatever. I find it a real kick to be able to give you solutions on any sort of upgrade. That's what I enjoy that, and it's something that I find quite easy to accomplish. Yeah, that's.
What about failure and redundancy?
Look, sizing, your building has got X amount of beds or capacity, you size the project to suit, and you should always build redundancy into your systems. Things don't last forever, as we all know, and it's over time, you need to be able to, that plant needs to be able to fall back on its redundancy system. You should never build things in place that if you're relying on one heating source, one day it will fall over. So it's quite crucial to have redundancy. So.
What's your lifespan on your heat pumps?
Look, well balanced and pressures and whatnot. I'd expect you should at least get a good 15-year to 20-year working life out of them. Obviously, there's a range in that with different manufacturers. No one will tell you, it'll give you exacts on lifespan, but I would expect you should get at least 20 years out of a well-designed plant, working life, even more. But again,
have you got to go to brand or?
Look, we've been working quite heavily lately with Mitsubishi, which is the Qton system. But again, Rheem, each manufacturer has its own unique space in its certain environment, in a certain application. I find the Qton are quite a bulletproof system. They're quite robust, they're well built, but as far as retrofitting, they're quite heavy to get in place. Whereas the Rheem sets are more, we can move them around, manhandle them as such. But again, with your storage too, I don't know, with the government rebates now, there's certain requirements to have a certain size tank as such to be eligible for your green rebates. But again, that's all, try looking for that and getting exacts out of that is another thing as well. But it's all there. So
I think like most of us here, like if we go to capital projects, we're always looking for three competitive clauses.
Yep.
How competitive is this market?
Yep. Yeah, look, it's again, like Mitsubishi, they use carbon dioxide as their refrigerant. I bet you'll get a hotter water out of it. But Rheem and a lot of other manufacturers now are going to a propane-based refrigerant. which you only get 65 degrees out of it as far as working temperature. So that has its limitations as well as, each system has its unique, depending on the application. That's the way I approach it anyway. So and even condensing gas boilers too. Room fell by the wayside with not having a common flue, which is, I think it's hurt them a bit in that industry, in that market. Renai having the common flue, but yet they don't have the common flue for condensing boilers. They're still individual. So it's totally unique to that project that you look at that time.
So if there wasn't the push for the electrification, what's better, gas or?
Look, gas is an instant heat. You can't go past as far as generating heat. That's all I knew about. As far as contractors, us plumbers, we need to be more so air conditioning techs now, which is the future, which is another whole industry itself. So things are changing very much.
What's the difference between a heat pump that has got a built-in pump on the tank and a separate heat pump to a separate tank? Is it based on the capacity that the building produces or what you produce?
Look, any commercial system will always have an individual heat pump associated with storage, and you can put different configurations in. Some have inbuilt heat circulating pumps, some have external pumps. It's depending on the manufacturer, but they all work in the same principle. Domestically you get your storage tank with your heat pump. You can also get it's like a split system as an air conditioning more or less, but commercially it's separate. And there's, again, it's a refrigeration gas that's used in there as well. There's only 4 manufacturers, I think, that use carbon dioxide. And the carbon dioxide will give you that 90-degree constant heat, whereas using other refrigerants will only come to 65 as such.
Do you see an increase of heat pumps in remote areas or not as yet?
Look, it's just where the market's going, where the climate's going, where we're hearing to be getting off gas. It's the only thing that we're moving forward on, really. Again, from what I see, that's in my own little world.
I've seen properties on the countryside, they've got propane gas tanks. Like propane for the refrigerant. It's only coming on now, like the propane. But again, it's going to open up another whole can of worms with installation where you can install them. If you have gas leaks, propane leaks, it is an explosive. So there's another thing to navigate. But that's where a lot of them are going at the moment anyway.
Have you engaged with any for the distribution equipment installation, KCB?
Sorry, was that?
Yeah. Have you engaged with any the Mitsubishi equipment installation?
Yeah, we've done quite a few, and showing real result as far as energy efficiency as well. Basically cutting their existing, like by removing the gas from the property, going on to electrified, they're sort of cutting costs by probably 40%, the energy costs, roughly. We're starting to, with the project that we've done, we're starting to see some real data coming through now. It's been 12 or 18 months that these projects have flowed on. And by looking at hot water usage within the building and the tariffs that you're paying, we can give you a projected payback on that as well. When you're not going in blind, you can actually see. Sometimes it's just a no-brainer, really, if you really look at it. It's just a matter of that initial upfront cost. But if the gear that's being supplied is good quality gear, it's really, it's a no-brainer, really, as far as I see. So.
Do you see any rebates coming through from the government?
Again, the rebates, there is rebates there. I've engaged, like my office is often looking, they're really hard to find, like sometimes, and they change a lot. There's definitely incentive there to go. Not that there was in those Rudd days when we had the 50 grand energy, so you'd have to upgrade your hot water plant, you got a $50,000 grant. but also you had to replace your whole set. You couldn't just tack on, say, a solar complement to it or heat pump. You had to do the whole lot. I think back then, average 75, 80 grand plant changeover. It was well incentive to get a $50,000 kick to do that. But yeah, I just think those incentives now are hard to find, but they're there. They are hard to find, and I think if you dig that, but there is things coming on too though. So there is with different products and whatnot that is getting the rebates coming through. So there should be more though to get these. So yeah, any other things or?
Before I call any other plumbers to talk or add anything onto it, so is there any question? I will ask a general question. So as hotel engineers, we always get some targets for energy saving and the water saving as well. So with your experience, can you give us, okay, so at Shangri-La, we need to save about 3% energy for a year.
Yep. So as far as your water saving as well, yep. Oh, you can put restrictors in your tapware, and you can retrofit them into the existing taps, depending again what taps you have through your aerators or.
Without compromising the guest satisfaction.
No, not at all. No, obviously you wouldn't put it on your bath, but you can put water restrictors in your shower heads and your hand basins. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can get significant savings on that. You'd be surprised, and the guests wouldn't even realise that there's a restrictor in there. Often, depending on again, it's like how much pressure you have it now and the flow rates that your existing tapware has now. But yeah, cutting that, you can see some significant savings for sure. You're flushing your urinals, and you can save. Yeah, but again, it's the existing outlay of that infrastructure to limit your water. Does that outweigh what you're going to save? That's the long term. But if you're using good quality gear,
we are finding a bit difficult.
Even use a lot of rainwater as well, harvest a lot of
Yeah.
rainwater in your toilets and your urinals.
Yep.
We find that works. Or even your host tap, even goes down.
Yeah, definitely.
Save a lot of water just put a couple of tanks in it and pump.
Yep. No, it's again high rise. You capturing that water too. It sometimes can be a bit of a look. Anything can happen, but yeah, the budget outlay to invest in installing the tanks and the retrofitting the plumbing to work on that recycled system is very good sense. But often it doesn't get over the line because of that capital, which is a shame really. Because long term, the savings are there, but it's just that initial jump to make that expenditure is the issue.
And do you have any water saving targets at Intercom?
Very much. So every year, it's interesting that there's a large quantity of hotels who are showing significant savings. Now, hotels that have been saving year on year, we are penalized.
Exactly.
Now, saying, how are you going to save another 2% or
Yep.
3% when you've already done it like 10 years ago?
Yeah,
So
What-
you don't look good.
When you say penalised, like what? When you say?
But our major opportunities in hotels is changing behavioral thing. Now, you walk in a kitchen and the dishwasher sometimes is running, and you get a tray, and then the next tray follows like a minute or two later, and the dishwasher is just continuously running,
Yep.
circulating water, and you're dumping that final wash tank
Yep.
all the time. I think we have to just look at cultural changes on how cleaning procedures in rooms and stuff like that. I think there's a lot of opportunity there.
Yep.
Because I think a lot of hotels have put in technology. Showers have gone down to 6, 7, 8 liters. They are down. Wash and basins are down. Sensor flushing is all. It's standard. If you're
Yep.
doing a renovation, all that automatically goes in. But now that human element is, I think, the opportunity we have.
Yeah, training that
Yeah.
the staff, the kitchen. Yeah.
And blame and shame, you have to.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just turn the blind eye. One person can't police it. Everybody has to be a champion. Yeah.
Yeah, it's also to get that across the line too, to make different shifts and different people working and the like. For them to see that incentive, I think it is a key thing to get over the line. It's just
The sad thing is that we have all gone to contracting. Now, last Friday night in our hotel, we have a cardboard crusher, cardboard compactor, and we have a compactor with a screwdriver. This guy went and put 3 massive tubs of cardboard and jammed the whole thing out. And the garbage was just overflowing everywhere. It's a contractor. So
Yeah.
what do? You You go to the contracting company, they take the guy out and put another guy.
Yeah.
And he comes and does the same thing 2 weeks later.
Yep. Sounds like the hospitality industry.
Sounds like it. Thank you, Paul. Any
Okay.
question? Anything, Trevor? Cash?
Good looks.
That's all right. Yep, go New South Wales. All right.
All right,
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Paul.